The story begins near a dark mansion on a stormy day, as Akira, the silent assassin, confronts another assassin going for his target. Feeling outmatched, the other assassin refuses to surrender his target and reaches into his robes for a concealed weapon. He rushes forward and throws the weapons at Akira, who avoids them like a ghost. Then, the assassin charges with his sword and parries blows with Akira. As they exchange blows, the silent assassin knocks the other man's sword into the air, but he attacks with more daggers. As Akira avoids the darts, the other assassin attacks with a final hidden weapon. To his shock, Akira disappears in front of his eyes and reappears behind him. The assassin tries to find an opening, but Akira blocks all his attacks and forces his hands down. He unleashes a kick with a bladed shoe, but Akira predicts it and stabs his arm. Then, he breaks the other assassin's leg and knocks him to the ground. Despite having other tricks, the other assassin accepts defeat, and his own falling sword lands back on his body. Afterward, the silent assassin easily creeps into the mansion and watches a sleeping man. He hesitates, but ultimately raises his sword to claim his target's life. Before these events, though, Akira was just a normal student in Japan. During his school life in Japan, some girls asked their friend called Tsukasa if he wanted to grab lunch, saying he has some council work. Tsukasa refuses, and the girls feel surprised by how hard he works as president. On a nearby table, some students thank a girl called Shori for helping them out. Meanwhile, Akira's friend Nanes approaches him, who is reading novels on his phone. His friend asks him if he likes Isekai, but Akira just says that he takes whatever he can get for free. Nodding, the boy leaves after telling him to recommend more free novels if he finds some. Watching him leave, some girls wonder who the boy was talking to. While eating lunch, even Akira feels surprised that someone talked to him since he's basically invisible in school. However, his phone suddenly starts glitching, and a strange darkness appears on the classroom's ceiling. The darkness forms a magic circle, which gathers around the students' feet. Everyone gets shocked as the circle teleports them into a giant castle. As they wonder where they are, a strange priest comes out and informs them that a king is about to see them. After the priest steps aside, the kids see a king and princess standing there and wonder who these people are. The king steps out and explains that he summoned the students from another planet to his world called Morrigan. He reveals that they're currently in the reddest empire of the human continent, which is being invaded by demons. The king tells the kids that, as warriors from another world, they can defeat the demon lord, and they feel excited to start their Isekai journey. However, the priest reveals that only one of them can be the legendary hero and asks them to test their abilities. One boy places his hand on a magic ball, but finds out that he's not the hero. The priest tells him that even without the hero status, he is still a powerful soldier. Then, a girl called Yuki finds out that she's a dispel mage, and Tomoya learns that she's a knight. After Shori learns she is a healer, the priest tells everyone they can view their status even without touching the magic ball. All the kids start checking their own statuses, and Nanes asks Akira about his. Akira reveals that he's an assassin, but feels confused by how overpowered his stats are. Then, Tsukasa steps up on the ball and shows off his potential with the hero class. As the priest praises Tsukasa for his incredible stats, all the students start cheering for their handsome president. However, Akira wonders how Tsukasa became a hero with trash stats, since his own stats are much higher. As Nanes asks him to show his own class, Akira remains silent, wondering if he can trust the shady king about the demon story. Deciding to keep his overpowered class a secret, Akira uses a conceal spell to hide his presence. Just then, Nanes thinks he's gone missing and leaves, while Asahina tests his class. Once everyone is done with their tests, the priest informs everyone that he'll prepare special equipment for all of them and asks them to rest in their assigned rooms. Feeling relieved he wasn't exposed, Akira follows the students while still concealing himself. Noticing a camera in a hallway, he realizes that the king is monitoring the students and feels glad he chose not to trust him. However, he fails to notice a knight watching him from behind. Later at night, Akira finds an abandoned storage room and decides to rest there. After settling down, he decides to snoop around the building for intel. Watching the city's foreign scenery, Akira feels surprised that he really is in another world. He jumps around the building's towers, shocked by his superhuman abilities. Then, he hears some voices in a room and conceals himself to spy on them. Akira hears the princess telling the king that the students are just clueless children with special classes. Feeling confident, the king tells her to begin with his plan hand, and she leaves the room. Standing behind the king, Akira wonders what he's up to and thinks that he can easily end his life. The king feels disturbed by his presence, but when he turns around, he finds no one there and goes back to work. The next day, Akira takes some lunch while still concealing himself, wondering if he should tell the students about the king's plans. He realizes they wouldn't believe him anyway. At a nearby table, Tsukasa stands up and tells the students that the king has done them all a favor by summoning them with powerful abilities. Tsukasa thinks that they should all work together and repay the king by defeating the demons. As all the students agree to support their hero, Akira realizes they've been duped by the king's fake story. After lunch, the knight commander called Saren gathers all the heroes outside for training. As Saren brags about his title as the country's last defense, his partner Jills reminds him to act humbly. Then, Saren informs the students that they'll receive a special training for a month before going to a labyrinth to fight monsters. Knowing they have no combat experience, Saren reassures the students that he'll help them learn the ropes. While the students get pumped for their training, Akira remains in the shadows, wondering what Saren is trying to do. As Akira leaves to gather more intel, Saren leaves the kids with Jills and leaves the ground. Akira walks towards a water fountain, but Saren calls out to him. Akira is surprised, wondering if the conceal skill had a time limit. However, Saren reassures him that the conceal spell is working, but it can't hide Akira from him. Saren explains that he has mystic eyes, which give him heat vision that allows him to detect people's body heat. Wanting to protect himself, Akira reaches for his knife, but Saren tells him he won't expose him to anyone. Knowing Saren is on the king's side, Akira doubts whether he should trust him, but the knight captain tells him he has his own reasons. Then, he asks Akira to keep their meeting secret from the king, and Akira finally decides to trust him. After they sit down to talk, Akira tells Saren that he wants to read the king's archives to learn more about their world. Saren asks him what level his conceal skill is, and Akira reveals that it's maxed out. However, his other skills are all level 1, so he doesn't know how to train them. Surprised, Saren smiles and offers to teach him, saying that the archives don't have much useful information anyway. Akira feels excited to get stronger and explore this new world, but thinks that he still wants to return home to his family. Saren agrees, but thinks that he should get stronger to survive until he finds a way back home. Akira feels guilty for receiving Saren's guidance for free, so the knight tells him he can repay him with stories of his home planet. As the charming knight holds out his hand, Akira smiles and shakes it, and formally introduces himself out of respect. Once they start training together, Akira learns that aside from humans and demons, elves and beastmen also populate their world. While Saren puts Akira through intense physical training, he explains that class levels can only be increased by defeating monsters, but he can increase his skill levels by training on his own. As they continue training each day, Saren feels surprised as he learns about Earth and all its technological advancements. Thinking about how he found all the technology boring and ordinary, Akira feels like he misses his old world in this new place. After a while, Saren is in a room with Jills, who wonders why he spent so much time with Akira. Saren tells him that Akira's stories were just too good, and Jills also feels fascinated by them. As Saren reveals that Akira is the true hero with a max level conceal, Jills feels surprised since only the first hero of their world had a max skill. Then, as Akira approaches the room, Jills leaves to give Saren some privacy with him, giving Saren a book from the king's archive. Akira says that it has some troublesome information. Saren nods, confirming that the book contains his plans to dethrone the king, knowing Akira would find it. Saren explains that he wrote book himself and disguised it as a cookbook. He tells Akira that the king is an awful man who is trying to control the world for his own benefit. Remembering the king's program, Akira falls into thought. Then, Saren tells him that the royal knights all have their issues with the king, and Akira thinks that they're trying to remove the king without much violence. Impressed by his observation, Saren nods, and Akira notes that as an assassin, he can easily take out the king without anyone noticing. He reveals that he easily entered the king's study on his first day, but he couldn't find the willpower to end his life. Saren nods, saying that just because he has an assassin class, it doesn't mean he should force himself to take others' lives. Akira thinks that he wouldn't want his family to find out he's a murderer. As Saren agrees with his decision, Akira wonders why he's trusting him so much. Saren explains that he's trusting him because he shows wisdom and promise, like the day he decided decided not to trust the king's word at face value. In Seren's eyes, this means that Akira is a person who knows how to deal with problems on their own and doesn't get fooled so easily. Growing silent, Akira quietly explains that he never received much attention as a kid. This confuses Seren, so Akira tells him that he's the only person who has ever praised him so much. Seren smiles and asks Akira if he can help him peacefully dethrone the king as thanks for his praise. Akira tells him he'll consider it and leaves the room. After the full month of training, Seren announces to the students that they'll explore the great labyrinth of Kantainen. As a crowd gathers around the warriors for a send-off, Akira feels surprised that they're receiving so much attention. He notices a girl watching from a distance and asks her what she's doing. The girl gets angry, saying that their people sacrificed so much to summon the heroes. Akira tells her he doesn't know what happened, so she tells him they'll meet again once he learns. Afterward, the heroes enter the labyrinth, where they engage in a battle against monsters. One student triggers a trap, which exposes them to giant ogres. As Akira takes out one ogre, he asks Seren if they should retreat, and he agrees. To clear the way for his students, Seren uses a divine sword spell and takes out all the monsters blocking their path. However, when they leave through the gate, they find even more monsters blocking the path. Tsukasa remembers a smoke bomb the princess gave him for emergencies, and decides to use it. The bomb takes out the small monsters, but from its smoke, a powerful minotaur monster appears. As Jills enters the room with the others, he feels shocked by the powerful minotaur on such a low level. Akira rushes to attack and avoids the minotaur's strike and gets on top of its body. He strikes at the monster's body, but its tough skin shatters his blade into pieces. Shocked, Akira avoids another attack and returns to Tsukasa, who feels too exhausted to fight. Tsukasa feels guilty that he can't fight, but Akira tells him that he needs to rely on the others to help him as well. He tells Tsukasa that the other students were also trained to fight, but Tsukasa starts panicking, thinking he's a failure as the hero. Akira wonders why Tsukasa is acting so weird, and asks a dispel mage to cure him. She steps forward and uses her spell, removing a demonic curse that was putting Tsukasa into panic. With Tsukasa cured, Akira stands with Seren and asks him if he can use a certain technique. Seren nods and uses a lightning flash to strike and stun the minotaur in front of the shocked students. Using this opportunity, Akira silently appears behind the minotaur and prepares to use his ultimate shadow magic. That was episode 1. Subscribe to not miss the next part and watch the next video on screen.